Hello, Pit and Pals. It's Friday. The weekend. Gonna make a start on some more commission stuff. Oh, quite sure what's happened to the music there. That's not what I wanted. It's far too fucking jazzy. Raw Tuscan Yo-Yo, thanks for popping in. Hope you're well. What's your plan for your weekend? I was off mute and then back on mute, I guess. Don't know what happened there. Yes, so we're just talking about commissions that we've got. There we go, that's better. I don't know quite why my Stream Deck decided to put me back on mute, but there we are. So we've got these two characters here, which is the Ork War Boss from a couple of editions ago, and like the Pain Doc Medic, which I'm really looking forward to getting up. Got some nice kind of like vials and weird saws and stuff. We've got some tank busters, which are these guys here. These are like anti-tank orcs. They like fire rockets and have like rocket hammers and do some kind of really pain boy. That's what I was looking for. Yeah, so we've got these. These are the Finecast tank busters, which you can't get on the one of your least favorite models for orcs. I mean, it's pretty groovy. It's nicer than the original one that I remember back in the day when I was really into it. You can't get these tank busters on the GW store anymore, which makes me hope that they're going to get a plastic release at some point. So we've got them. They come with these two little like bomb squigs, which are like little kind of orc dog type things. What else we got? We've got a unit of flash kits, which are like kind of piratey freebooter things with like big gnarly weapons and like boss pulls. A couple of them have got like pirate hats and caps and stuff on, so they're really cool. These all just came built. Look at them Bob's Bigs. Obviously we've got both ends of the spectrum of the ones you hate the most and the ones you hate the least, which is good, I guess. But yeah, got the flash kits, I think they are, and then burner boys, which are really cool units of like flamethrowers. So yeah, so we've got quite a bit to get amongst there. 3 units of 5 like infantry dudes, 2 bomber squids, 2 characters, and the thing that we're going to start on tonight. So we're just going to clear some room off. Didn't think about this. We'll just hide over here. What we're going to start working on tonight is the Ork Trukk. I like 95% of Ork models a lot. Painboy I'm not too keen on. Yeah, I mean that's fair. I guess the nice thing with Orks really though is that it's an absolute breeding ground for conversion material. So if you don't like the official one, like it's pretty easy to kind of like make one yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like it's about the same size as like an Ork knob, so you can probably make a really nice one out of the Ork knob kit. So yeah, this is what we're going to work on tonight. It's this lovely big Ork Trukk, which is like a big 6-wheeled Mad Max vibed, like open top troop transport for the Orks. It's jam packed full of details. There's a couple of bits there I think I've missed, and I've cleaned it up, which I can see now that I've primed it, which we'll get before we start. Do seen some absolutely bonkers truck conversions. Yeah, I was having a look on Google just to get some ideas for like the paint scheme, and there were some really cool ones. There used to be a guy at my local game store who was a like fanatical 40k Ork player. That's pretty much all he played, and he used to buy like 1/35th scale tanks and like aeroplanes and like literally anything he could get his fucking mitts on. That was just conversion fodder, and just made some absolutely mad shit. He's also big into his like Necromunda now as well. So it's really cool like Necromunda board builds. So follow him on like Facebook and Instagram and stuff. So the way that we're going to approach this tonight is we're going to try and get probably about 80% of it done. And what that 80% is going to look like is all of the metallics. So like this is pretty much all metal, like from the engine to all the armor plates, the hubcaps, all the undercarriage, it's all going to be metal. And then we're going to just make it look just gnarly as fuck. But have you seen the guy building up the board inside like a 6-foot Titan build? No. I think it's a kill team board inside it. Oh, so like it's like so you're basically playing a game of kill team in like the corridors inside of a Titan. I think I've seen like similar stuff like that, but probably not on like on that scale. I remember a couple of times when I went down to games day as a youngin', like a couple of the stores would do boards where they'd be like, you'd be fighting a game, or you'd be playing a game kind of around the feet of a Warlord Titan. So they made like the feet, and then the feet would kind of like move as the game went on and like stand on stuff and destroy stuff, and which was always pretty cool. Right, got this bit here to get rid of as well. We are going to take some of the primer off with this, but it's not going to make a great deal of difference. So we're going to bust the airbrush out, which we haven't done for a little while on stream. We will apologise in advance. I don't have a respirator or a mask at the moment for airbrushing. So do as I say, don't do as I do. Always wear some kind of like mouth covering while airbrushing, especially if you're not in a very well ventilated area like I am. We're just going to hide some paper towel down just to catch all the overspray so we don't ruin the desktop. Let's just pop you there for now. some masking tape here. I should have kept the gloves off until I was done setting it up. What I need to invest in is like a roll of like brown paper or something just to cover the desk with when I'm doing messy stuff like this, or when I'm working with like enamels and stuff, just to keep it all going well. Obviously, we know Tuscan's down away visiting the in-laws, so to speak. Has anybody else got anything planned for that Friday evening or that weekend? Anything cool planned? Anything cool coming up? I mean, this paper towel covering is probably not going to do a great deal of good, but it means I won't have to hopefully spend most of my Saturday scrubbing the tabletop. Dead Space and more Dead Space, very good. Mrs. Bumperpants was started playing it there before when I was chilling out after work before we hopped on doing some stuff. Right, so, that's made everything really bright. I hope that is kind of okay. Still on the camera, let us know if that just needs adjusting a little bit. It kind of looks okay though. Obviously it makes such a mad difference having like a white background compared to the black one. It just bounces so much more light. Maybe we just kill some of that light a touch. Does that look okay? Are we alright there? Knock that down maybe. Yeah, I think that's fine. So the nice thing with the airbrush is that we get to do cool stuff really, really quickly. So we're going to start off with which is an absolutely amazing airbrush metallic. So this is Vallejo Model Metallic Air Black, which, as the name might suggest, it's just like a really dark black metal color, and that's going to form the base coat of like everything that we're about to do. The idea being that we'll get everything coated in this metal, so we'll maybe just do some dry brushing, bring it up, and then we're going to weather it down with things like streaking grime, rust streaks. I've got some like brown washes, got some black oil washes. Like, we're just going to kind of go to town and really make it proper gnarly. Then we will seal it all in with some varnish, and then we're going to hit it with some chipping medium, and then we're going to pick out all of these different like armor plates that are on there and probably go from there. We're just going to ask if you had to suggest a starter airbrush, what would you recommend? It's a great question, and it's a one that I'm very conflicted on. I started out with just cheap, just Amazon specials, like no brand or like Chinese brand. KK Moon, I think, was the brand that I started out with. What I'll always say with airbrushes is you get what you pay for. And I guess it all just depends on what you're looking to kind of do with it as well. If you're just looking for something that allows you to like a base, like a primer coat or like an undercoat on to get started, especially indoors with the British weather, it's fine just throwing down base coats, using it to apply like oil washes or like normal washes or contrast paints as a filter. Probably don't need anything more than that if I'm being real. The downside with the cheaper ones tends to be in their build quality. And there's a number of things just to be really aware of with the cheaper ones, is that the airbrush and needle, which is effectively what regulates how much paint comes out, and the cheaper ones tend not to have a sharp of a point. which means sometimes you can lose kind of the sharpness of it. And the way that they're constructed is there'll be like a brass nib which screws into the front of the airbrush. I'll try and kind of show you on mine. So I have a Part1 Steam Vacuum Infinity CR Plus, which if you're just dipping your toes into airbrushing, I would recommend getting because they're fucking amazing. But they are also, you could buy a car for how expensive these are. So usually in an airbrush you'll have where this big hole is here, there'll be like a nib, which is what the needle kind of sits in, and in the front there'll be like a brass kind of like needle holder, which is kind of what this looks like. I'll try and show you as best I can. Like, so this bit here screws into the body, and they tend to be made of like brass or copper, like a really soft metal, and you have to use like a tiny little wrench to like unscrew them, especially to clean them out and stuff. What I found was that quite often, if you weren't super careful, or you didn't line the threads up, or there was a bit of paint on the threads, it was really easy just to get it stuck, to like wrench it off and leave all the thread inside, in which case like it's fucked at that point. There's no saving it. But you can buy them for about 20 quid. So if you get 3, 4, 6 months of use out of it at 20 quid, like that's fine, right? The other ones that I see being recommended for starter airbrushes, if you didn't want to go down kind of like the really cheap off-brand ones, is the Neo by Iwata is supposed to be really good. I can't say on a personal recommendation because I've never used it. I went from cheap off-brand Amazon specials to this. I use it all the time. Everything that I prime is through my airbrush. When I'm doing busts and sculptures, it's all like a lot of the work's done through the airbrush, so I can justify the cost. I totally wouldn't say to go out and say that you need to buy something of this quality like straight off the rip. You can get started with airbrushing like relatively cheaply. You can't see it, but I have an airbrush compressor that was about the same kind of cost as let's see if I can get this to work. I don't think it's going to work. What's up here? The webcam's gone off. Here we go. Can we see it? Maybe get a bit further down. Every time I touch this webcam, it goes off, so you'll have to bear with me a sec. Yeah, you can just about see it there. It's fucking huge. It's got like a tank built into it, which you just don't need to have that just like to begin with. But you can pick up sets. Like I think Timber Tech do a set, which is like your airbrush, the hose, and the compressor, and you can pick them up for like 60 to 80 quid to get you started. And then it's like everything, isn't it? Like you start small and cheap, see if it's for you, and then if you decide that you want to invest in nicer things, then you can kind of do so along the line. Take a look a bit more into it. Yeah, I mean, there's some great content on YouTube, like airbrushing for beginners. Next Level Painting does some great airbrush tutorials. The thing that I wasn't prepared for personally when I started with an airbrush was the amount of cleaning that goes into it, and the amount of maintenance. And the learning curve really for me was learning what to do when it all goes wrong, like being able to diagnose it, and kind of take it from there, like learning when you need to thin your paints down, how much, because every paint brand and every colour in that range could be different. But it's a super cool tool just for getting stuff done really quickly. Oh, what's going on here with the old webcam Rooney? It's all going a bit glitchy. Stand by a second. What's happened there? There we go, we're back. I need some brush shampoo and conditioner still too. If you're open for recommendations on that as well, you'll have probably seen this knocking about. This is the Masters Brush Cleaner and Preserver. It's like soap. You can pick it up pretty cheaply. It's like a solid block of soap. Mine's minging. I've used this for years. It's great. I also have some of this as well from Winsor & Newton. There's like a brush cleaning solution. And you can kind of soak brushes in them as well to like really get all the hard caked on bit off it. Both will set you back like 7 to 8 to 10 quid, something like that. So the first step we're going to do is we're just going to apply this metal colour everywhere. And very much like when you're priming with like a rattle can, using a rattle can, the trick with the airbrush is just lots of thin coats, letting it dry and then going back again. I think you get them when you're back from your trip. Nice one, yeah. You can pick them up on Amazon, like the brush soap. Another really kind of like slept on place or stuff like that as well is the Range, which is like a discount furniture and homewares shop. I get quite a lot of like my oil paints and stuff from there as well. Yeah, I got British Range cheap synthetics. Yeah, and they're great for that as well. Do like when I've a couple of times I've been in the stock like Kolinsky Sable brushes, but because they're just kind of left in a rack, they always just look mangled to shit. So we're not going to worry so much about the Ork that's kind of like sat in the cockpit. We're just going to come back and do him after everything's done. And should be quite understated in the grand scheme of things. Let's say one of the big benefits I found from having the airbrush is just like, you know, I might have like historically done all of this silver with like a rattle can spray, which means having to go outside, and if it's raining, like you can't do anything, just frees up like loads more time. Yeah, I buy my nice brushes from a shop, yeah. The sort of thing I always say with airbrushing as well is that you don't really want to overfill the cup too much. Like this cup here holds 2 mils, like 2 milliliters of paint, and I fill it up about 20% of the way. Nurse Gratis, how's it going? Thanks for popping in. How's things today? Yeah, really good. It's Friday. Had a big old busy day at work. A little bit shit for a bit, but kind of turned itself around, so glad it's the weekend. Thought we'd jump on into a little cheeky Friday stream because I wanted to make a start on the commission work. So I thought, why not stream it as well? Weekend, what's those? That's when I don't work, and sometimes you have to. So we're making a start on this this Ork Trukk, which is it's the first time I've ever painting an Ork Trukk, so I'm super excited for it. Just trying to get this like base coat of this like dark silver on. And then the plan is we're gonna like build this up, maybe do some dry brushing, maybe some like bits and pieces with the airbrush again. Monkey it up, and then once it's all like monkeyed and weathered, we're going to seal it all in, apply some chipping medium, do all the like different sort of like armor plates in like different colors or just one color, chip it off, and then kind of do some washing on it as well to kind of blend it in. Smoke pans, risky paint. Would you like some more popcorn? Yes. Could I have a little bit more than like the 6 bits that I got last time, please? Oh. Seven pieces, got it. Listen here, you little shit. Right. The next silver colour we're going to come in with is a bit of a brighter one. This is brush metal from scale 75. This isn't an airbrush paint. Rushing those popcorn bits, there's a war on. But not a popcorn bit. Right, I need some glow improver. Next on the list. That. That's a popcorn. Let's put that. Need like a shit brush just to mix it all in. How do, Cardinal? How's it going? Thanks for popping in. Hope you're well. What's cracking? Appreciate all the good bits. I mean, it's cold as well, mind. Like microwave popcorn, which is eating all the good bits and just left all the horrible bits. Let it go cold for us. It's no good. I feel like you've eaten too much. It's down a little bit more. There we go. We've got this lighter silver now. We're just going to kind of haphazardly place some highlights on. You can get it to flow. What are we up to tonight, Cardinal? I don't know. I was eating popcorn when Necromorphs popped up. Had to shove the popcorn in my face unceremoniously. But at least you got your priorities right there. You're coming for your popcorn. Yeah, boy. Something I hate about airbrushed metallics is that quite often just get like horribly clogged up. You don't thin them down correctly. So what we'll do is we'll just naff off using the airbrush for that. We'll dry brush it. Do some old school dry brushing. Clean this out. Give me 30 minutes to put a pizza in the oven. Nice. That McDonald's is starting to look a little bit long ago now, doesn't it? Since we had that. Nice big brush. Right, just get most of that off that brush there. I'm just going to go around and dry brush some bits up. Just try. All we're trying to do really is just get a bit of like kind of modulation into the metals here before we kind of go ahead and start weathering it. It's good though. All those pickles on your big man. Yeah, boy, there's a lot of pickles. From my pants who, like, you know, a couple of months ago was like, pickles, don't like pickles, is now obsessed with pickles after I made her try one. And somehow managed to convince herself that she didn't like pickles and gherkins, when actually all this time she did. Need to get some nice dry brushing brushes, I think. I mean, I probably don't need them, but I want them. Being converted now, yeah. They are good. Especially if they're crunchy pickles. Yeah, crunchy pickles are the best. But a bunch of just like El Crapo brushes. I like dry brushing, but they're like just absolutely shit. So this is a cool brush. This is a sawtooth brush. So I don't know what you can see, but it's got like sort of brushes or like bristles like different lengths, which I quite like to dry brush with because it kind of gives that a little bit uneven sort of texture. We're not being particularly like delicate with this dry brush at all. We're just wanting to try and establish some like values with it. So bright bits, dark bits, that sort of thing. And we're just kind of focusing them around like hard edges, on tops of rivets, on tops of spars, that sort of thing. So we've got a couple of different bits here. We're going to try and work on rust streaks, streaking grime. So these are all like enamel products from AK Interactive. We've got rust streaks and streaking grime. We used rust streaks on the Kubus that we did recently, and then this modern vehicles wash for US, which is going to be like a brown wash. So we're probably just going to do like just sort of like a little bit of a higgledy-piggledy sort of sets of washes everywhere, with the view that we'll be taking like a lot of this off. Just gotta be careful not to. There we go. Yes, this is like a kind of a, let me hand out the way, sort of like a brown we've got here. We'll work this into some places. So not everywhere, just keep it kind of random. Thicker in some places, lighter in others. Go, I think that'll probably do for that one. Where's my little phone gun? Out some of the rusting one now. because both of these are like enamel washes, it should mean that they'll like mix and kind of blend themselves in as we go. And then when we come back through with some like bits of thinner and stuff to try and take it off some areas, it'll look a little bit more kind of natural, a little bit more warm. I like my orcs quite rusty and scrappy looking. So we want to go quite hard on the weathering, I think. Especially on the bits that kind of see a lot of maybe like quite a lot of time on kind of exposed, so like the underbits will be quite grimy and quite rusty because, you know, it'll not be very well looked after. I just kind of want this fairly random. Let me know if you can't see this very well. I'm like really conscious that we're putting lots of like shiny things under a really bright light, so like it might just not work. Right, so it's rust streaks. And then in with some streak and grime. Chapter 1 complete, brats. And then by comparison, all of the like painted plates that we do will be like nice and bright, and like chipped and worn away. Should help build some quite nice bit to like contrast and stuff. That's the plan, at least anyway. We're just kind of attacking this with various different bits at the minute, and we're just kind of hoping that it's going to turn out alright. Try and get this all over, nice and grimy and horrible. Cool. Wow. I've only pooped 87 times, possibly. I mean, that's a good amount of times to possibly poop yourself. Let's just bring this over here, and we'll just put it on there. Right. Kerry's got chapter 3. Looking good, thank you very much, Tuscan. We're at the kind of horrible, grimy stage at the moment. So we're going to let this dry for about 5-10 minutes. Kind of keep it moving in places so it kind of like builds up. And then we will kind of come back in with some like mineral spirits or some odorless thinners on some like sponges, and we'll like dab it away, we'll move it around, and that should help kind of reveal some of the like metallics back a touch as well, especially on those like hard edges. And this is all just the underwork for the colours that we're going to be putting on. Lots of these bits are like coloured plates and stuff. So the vast majority of this is actually probably going to end up covered, but by doing the entire thing, it means that when we utilise the chipping medium, when it starts to come away, it'll look really natural and look consistent kind of all the way through. And then once that's done, we'll probably like gloss it again and hit it with like a black oil wash just to help with all the separation around the panels, darken everything back down. That's the plan. We'll see how it goes. Can you see everything nice and clearly though? Oh, to be fair. Just don't be fair to popcorn. Very proud of you if you're in the dark with the headphones on and hardcore. Right. Some of this. Box of those. So this is sans odor solvent. It's like a just a low odor like turpentine mineral spirit type of thing. The low odor really helps because the normal stuff fucking stinks. Not that this is like totally without a smell, but it's just not as bad. Got a couple of little painting wells with that in. So the trick here is to like moisten the thing that you're trying to take it away with. So we use these little like eyeshadow makeup brush applicator things. These are super absorbent, so they don't take much at all, and then they just get dabbed off. And then when you're wiping away, you want to wipe towards kind of like your recess. Like so. Try and leave it on, you know, like around and inside these rivets where kind of the grime would collect. Obviously, the nice thing about working with like enamel oils is that the like the dry time is really long. So if you take a little bit too much off, you can always kind of come back in and kind of do it again. And just add a little bit more on. If you find that you've not taken so much off, even when it's fully dried, you can reactivate it again with like mineral spirits or the turpentine or whatever it is that you're using, and it will just reactivate again. You've got like, you know, it's pretty kind of flexible, and it means we'll get like quite a nice, almost like a patina of grime kind of built up on them. Like this in a lot of places is still quite wet, so we can actually just go in with a dry sponge to take a lot of it off. Especially like on these top edges, you know, it can just be kind of wiped away. Let's just get amongst it. Let's see how well we can see this. Very bright. We'll be looking for another raid target tonight as well when we wrap up the stream. So if anybody has any recommendations, people who are live when we wrap up, that would be great as well. We can find some nice friendly people to try and help build a bit of a community with. So you can see like on this plate at the back here, that was like one of the first bits that we did, and you can kind of see how it's all started to dry now. If we go in with a dry sponge, it does just kind of wipe off entirely. If we moisten it up a little bit, it kind of reactivates, and you can kind of push it into all of like the edges and Been up K a bit. What are Bump and doing in the dark with headphones? They're playing the new Dead Space. Boop, boop, boop. Those grind pits do so much work by great. Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, you can just keep going back and forwards, adding more, taking more off, and just building it up. They're super cool. Just for adding grime. Really sells that like grimdark aesthetic as well. I like to come in with like packing sponge and foam and that as well. That works really well. Where it started to like sort of dry and collect on the sponge as well, you can kind of just use it to smear it around, which is also fucking cool. The only downside is obviously, you know, it can take a long time to dry fully. So like on here, like on these claws, like we just missed bits on, but because there's sort of crap on the sponge, especially some of these ones that we've used, we can just go and put it on. Like they're just so, they're just so great. Mate, I've just jumped so much, massive sprint, massive jump scare. Yeah, it's kind of beyond me why I play those kind of games, but not my idea of fun, that's for sure. But maybe I'm just a big softie. These like streak and grime and weathering products also work great through the airbrush as well. We're just getting like a nice even coverage on. You can also kind of go in with a brush as well, like that also works. To kind of smear it on and really work it into places. The big trick with them though really is that if you've missed anywhere, like it makes it stand out super, it's like super quickly. Are we still in focus? Excuse me. Let's see if the remix any different. Yeah, I like the Bumbo was telling me that they put like an AI director in, So every time you play the levels, like there can be little different kind of effects and stuff going on. So it might be like the first time you do a level, like the lights might go out in the corridor, but the next time you play it, they might not go out, that sort of thing. Which I thought was pretty fucking ace. Right, I'm just going to mute the mic up slightly because I'm going to give this a wee blast with a hairdryer, just to see if we can't help it along a little bit. No one wants to hear the hairdryer go full bore. This is the Zebra hairdryer. It's a elite modelling tool. I'll be back in a sec. Right, that's a quick once over with the hairdryer. Oh no, what's happened there? The exhaust seems to have come off. Oh no. Okay, we'll repair that later. What else can I do? Yes, we'll bust out the dirty down rust, the talent I can. Have to give this a good shake up. I'm going to try and build up some big gnarly patches of rust. And my thingy's been looking a bit. There we go. Gotta love a wife's hand-me-down hairdryer. Yeah, I've got my own little one. I just couldn't find it the other week there. And Bumbo was like, oh, I've got one you can use. So sorry, that's well. Oh, camera's wigging out vibrations from the one thing there. Right, so we're gonna need another shit brush. Oh. Will do. Got dirty down rust, thinned down with a little bit of thinner. So what we found is that the more dilute it goes, the more like bright orange blooms that we get. It seems to have gone on a bit strange though, never mind. Right. try and be a little bit more select about where we're going to put this rust, because we don't want it. We want it to be everywhere. Like, might help if that was in a shot. Right. Let me know how that is for your viewing pleasure. Let me know if you can see it okay. Seems to have gone a bit weird with the thinner there, but
black holes could never suck us down. Black holes could never suck us down. Black holes could never suck us down. Remember when we made love beneath the Milky Way? We got drunk.
gotta keep your Duolingo streak up.
And spent the night defying the day. Together we climaxed so hard.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why that's gone a bit weird with that.
see my time of bedlam, 10,000 miles I travel. Maudlin goes on dirty toes for to save her shoes from gravel. Well, I sing bunny boys, bunny mad boys, bedlam boys our body, for they all go.
What do I reckon are the chances for Kerry and Bumba to finish Dead Space by the time the weekend's out?
Spirits white as lightning, and on my journeys guide me. The stars will quake, the moon will shake, whene'er they do espy me. My staff has murdered giants, my pack a long knife carries. To cut mince pies from children's thighs, with a witch to feed the fairies.
Oh, 100%. I know those two plays pinch hard and fast until it gets too scared, that is. Wasn't the garage tomorrow when I have roleplay? I don't have to go to sleep, eat or toilet. I'd give it a good go. Fair.
Dance all night, stars I'll fight, but the fridge shall become me. And when that I have beaten the man in the moon to powder, his staff I'll break, his dog I'll shake, around the demon louder. Will I sing bunny boys, bunny mad boys, bedlam boys our body, for they all go bare and they live by the air and they want no drink nor money. To see my time of bedlam, 10,000 miles I travel. Maudlin goes on dirty toes for to save her shoes from gravel. A health to Tom of Bedlam, a health to Tom of Bedlam, a health to Tom of Bedlam, Bedlam, Bedlam.
Right, so we've got some nice rust effects coming out here now. On the top here, this like the dirty down rust, I just find like really difficult to get consistent results with. Like sometimes it's really dark, sometimes it's like super orange, and I can never quite work out what it is I'm doing right or wrong with it. And whether I've just got to like kind of hide on. A cleanish brush. No, don't binge, I'll explore everything. Yeah. gonna keep working around with this like rust stuff. Let's just see how we get on. Seemingly it's like pop like a big splodge on and then get some water and kind of like thin it down and kind of spread it out. And the more watered down you get it, kind of the more orange it gets. I think mixing it with the thinner seems to have like, I don't know, fucked it a bit. Proper pure rusty. Right, just try and go again with the hairdryer. By binge, I mean you don't play for an hour then do something else. You'll sit 4 or 5 plus hours, play, explore, devour the content. Page your stories with Mass Effect, Fallout, Cyberpunk. You play long and hard. Yeah, boy. We're going to go again here with rusty stuff. Water bits of it down, leave some bit nice and thick. Oh. Right, again with the hairdryer. Apologies for keep going on mute, but probably don't want to hear a hairdryer going full bot. Big plunk. Right, I'm just going to let some of that dry just in the air, and we'll just take a quick breather for a minute because my hands and shoulders are starting to hurt. Get some of these brushes cleaned off. Ah, sweaty hands. The only downside about doing like weathering in this manner is it's messy as shit. Brushes, bits of paper, just everywhere. Oh, upper pants coming in with a stretch. Oh. Ah, that's the back done. Ah. Right, let's get that popped out of the way. Yeah, so start to see this like really bright rust is starting to bloom out now as we've kind of like built it up. Start to see it in the back here now as well. He's a rusty boy. On the underneath sides, got some like dark corrosion underneath. Looks like the underside of Bumper's car. And we've got some like dark, like textured corrosion kind of building up here. It's all starting to come about nicely. Oh, obviously there's been so much heat put applied to it. Yeah, yeah, you little nasty. That I've actually managed to break the glue bond somehow. We'll just hide that in there. There we go. Get that glue back in. Leave but Stallion alone. Leave Brittany alone. Get the broken exhaust. No, I won't. I mean, probably might do some rust on that. Might just hit that with some like weather and powder. I need to try and work out where it's actually supposed to go back on. So one of the kind of like, not really a downside, but like one of the challenges I guess with doing this type of commission work is obviously the guy who like his whole business is he buys like job lots and broken stuff, or you know, whatever it is that he buys, right? And so quite often it means it comes like assembled already, like other people build it. Rob Tuscan's back, his PC died. Jesus, that's some nice progress, thank you very much. See if we can get it up for some sexies. So we're looking suitably manky and corroded now on all the metals. Some like really bright patches of the rust coming out now. A little bit less on this side. That's kind of what we want to be, and on the underneath side, which is all a little bit more heavily corroded. We broke the exhaust. I don't know if you were here. We broke the exhaust came up. What was I saying? Yes. So I guess one of the challenges is that, like, you know, they come kind of pre-assembled, often pre-primed. What rust paint do you use? I used a technical paint, which is like a bright orange dry brush. Yeah, I've used that stuff before. What we're currently using is there's a lot of different products kind of lashed over each other. So initially, when we did the silver, we just came in with some like enamel washes from AK Interactive and from MIG. So that's these ones, Rust Streaks, US Modern Vehicles Wash, and Streaking Grime. So rust is like a red oxide-y kind of colour. This was like a mid-brown, and this is like a greeny slime kind of colour. So that went over all the metallics, and then we kind of wiped it off and stippled it on. And then we used this product, which is becoming very popular all of a sudden, which is called, it's Dirty Down and it's Rust. It's like a thick kind of gloop that kind of goes on. And then you like thin it with water, like on the model or in a palette, and the kind of the thinner it is, the brighter it is. But it's really nice because it means you can put it on, you can kind of like build it up in layers. So you can put it on really thick to begin with, let it dry, and then kind of come back with a bit watered down one, and it'll kind of reactivate. So you kind of get that nice like modulation through. Rust is something that I've spent a lot of time like experimenting with. Like I love rusty stuff. The other way that I like to do rust is with products like this dry rust from Game Effects, below Game Effects, which is basically Typhus Corrosion, which is basically like a brownie ready kind of paint with like a texture in it. It's got like grit. So you put it on really, really thick, let it dry, and then just dry brush over it with orange, and you get like quite a nice like caked on like corroded rust, rather than kind of like these bright kind of rust spots. Yeah, that's what you did. Amazing. What else have I used? I've used the Army Painter Rust Wash before. My go-to rust for a long time was Reichland Flesh Shade over a metal. If you just want that kind of like slightly rusty, corroded look to your silvers, works quite well. Dirty Down also do a moss and a verdigris paint as well, which are both really nice. The verdigris is what I used on the zombie bust sculpture thing that I did. It's on the base, they're like a brass base. You'll see it in the top corner at some point when it comes up. So the thing with the Dirty Down is that like the model needs to be warm, and does the paint as well. That's kind of works best. Thought it looked decent. Yeah, it's a great combo. Even just like the Rise of Rust by itself is pretty decent, to be fair. And then if I was doing something bigger than this, like maybe when the colour goes on, I'll come back with either the Rust Streaks, or I have weathering pencils as well, which are these. They're basically just like watercolour pencils, but I've got a rust and streaking set and a chipping set as well, because everything I did for a little while was chipped and streaky and rusty mess. So right, what we'll do in the meantime is we're going to bust out the old Tamiya black panel liner. So this is, again, it's just like an enamel kind of like oil thing, and we're just going to put this around some of the rivets just to help them kind of like pop out a bit. This is just doing like a pin wash. And it'll just kind of help darken it all down. This might be entirely redundant at this stage now that I'm thinking about it, because we're going to cover it in paint anyway, so we'll not do much more of that. Jumping ahead of myself on my steps. But you can kind of see what the effect does there. Kind of puts like a big black line around. And again, that can just be removed with like spirits and thinners and stuff as well. So we're looking like we might all be nice and dry now. I think what I'm going to do is we'll bust out a nice big brush. And we're going to come in with like a stupidly bright silver. I think do a really light dry brush just on all of these like extreme edges. So we're going to bust out some Stormhost silver from GW. Let's see what condition this is in. Oh, you know, that's alright. Let's just get a whole bunch out in here. We're going to come in with like a big makeup brush here. Just get it worked into all the bristles. We're just going to skim over like all of the hard edges, just make them really pop. I'll work most of it out. There we go. So if we start on this side panel here, just going to want to hit the edges just to make it look nice and sharp. Try and bring some like sharpness back to some of all these raised areas. This also had like the added benefit of knocking some of the rust off of it as well. On those like edges that are going to get caught and knackered as they go. Push the really high contrast finish as well. Gonna forget about these front bits as well. There we go. All nice and rusted, discolored, and pretty fucking gross. So the next step really now is to clean the airbrush out. And then we will put a varnish coat on to protect everything. So a couple of coats of varnish. Airbrush cleaner, airbrush cleaner, airbrush cleaner. So, matte varnish, I think. Flow improver. And all we're really seeking to do here is to seal in everything that we've done. We've got nice and clean. Right, it's been nicely matted down now. Let's give this a bit more of a thorough clean out. So you can kind of start to see what I was saying a bit earlier, Tuscan, about how much time you spend kind of like cleaning it to keep everything flowing. kind of a bit hardcore with the music there. Digging it. A bit better. Right. Our next step now is we're going to apply something called chipping medium, which is this solution which you kind of spray on, you let it go dry, but let it air dry. It's really important. It's a mistake I made in the past is trying to speed it up with a hairdryer. And it just all goes to shit. Oof, running low. The nice thing is we don't need a great deal. I'm going to airbrush it on just so it goes on nice and smooth. Drop the PSI a touch. Wonderful. And what this does is you put a layer of Orkk with this down, and then you airbrush over the top, let it dry, and you come back through with like a brush or a sponge or something like that, and you kind of like the water like goes through the paint layer and back into the chipping medium, which is water soluble, so it like dissolves the paint from underneath it basically. But what it means is that we put them on all these armor plates that we've just done here, the ones that we might want to have a bit of colour on. It means when we come to do the colour, when we chip it away, it'll have that lovely sort of like distressed metal underneath it that we've just spent a lot of time doing. So the nice thing with Orks is that they'll pretty much just paint anything, so we can kind of get away with putting it wherever we want. But we're mainly going to aim like these armor plates on the side here. Like little foot bridges, and these armor plates on the back. Pretty much just hide anywhere that we might put a colour, or might get hit by a colour, I guess, as well. Because it means if we do then hit it somewhere we shouldn't be, it'll just come straight back off. The more that we put it on, the kind of easier it chips off. So you don't want to put the same amount everywhere because you want to kind of have it look quite natural, but we do probably want it quite heavily corroded. And I think that'll do. So we're a bit of an impasse now until this kind of dries off. So if anybody has anything they've been working on that they want to share, questions, anything they want to talk about, I'm all ears for the next probably 10 minutes or so. Toying with Grey Knight or Legionary kill team next. Is that the is it Legion of Darkness? No. Legion of Doom's the Wrestlers. Which ones are the Legionaries again? Ah, the Chaos Marines. Ooh. I would probably say Chaos. It's a specific kill team kit. Got you. I would probably say the Chaos. Only because I personally think that Grey Knights are boring as shit. But they can be really cool. And obviously can be quite quick to complete as well if you're looking for like a quick win. I think Chaos. That's what I'm going for. That's what I'm sticking with. Despite having not seen either of the boxes. But I'm gonna trust in that the Chaos stuff can look and pitch in. What's stopping you from pulling the plug on just either one right now? Is that just something that you don't like about either of them? Or is it just you're going to do both of them at some point and you can't decide? Sorry, just had to answer a message on my phone there, and I have a horrible habit of showing my phone screen on a stream and doxing people and then having to blur it out in YouTube videos. Yeah, essentially you want to get most. So you've got Commandos, Adeptus Mechanicus, Custodes, and some Veteran Guards. So it's like which one first? I would say Chaos then, because that'll be something totally different to what you've done already. That's what I would say. Change it up a little bit. Yeah, both teams get Psychers too. That's pretty cool. Something new as well. Chaos one. That would be my. That's what I would do, at least anyway. The Legionaries have some mean melee guys. Yeah. Get amongst it, man. Still a little bit tacky. When I was planning my Horus Heresy army, when I got the Age of Darkness box, it was a toss-up between doing Word Bearers or Ultramarines for me. And the reason I went Ultramarines in the end is because I couldn't be tuned to do all of the really cool like mutations and like crazy fire and kind of all that jazz. Although one considering it's Necrons are a good Good army. That was my first ever 40k army. Way back when I was the tender age of 17, maybe. Take the Nurgle stuff, but we'll never try and paint them. How come? Just not a one that you particularly fancy, or do you think it'll be too challenging? Necron's what you had when you were a kid, yeah. Looks too hard. No, I tend to find with Nurgle stuff, like same with Orks, is that they can be quite forgiving because they're plaguey. So you know there's lots of places you can go with them. Like the traditional sort of like drab greens and bronzes are really cool. You get some really nice opportunities to do some like really like high contrast spot colors with like all the fleshy bits. And then accent colors like purples, like on the cloths and stuff's really cool. But no, I think you'd be fine. Like your orcs are really nice. I would have said orcs are probably more of a challenge than Nurgle, personally. Right, so my next question now is, what do we think we should do all of these like armor plates? What color? Part of me wants to go red because red ones go faster. Yellow looks really cool as well. Obviously red's just like speed freaks, which is kind of cool. What do I reckon? Yellow? That's just because you want to see me paint yellow. It's a pain in the dick. Big boy spenders only on that. Yeah, that's true. Alright, yellow it is. All the teeth. Yeah, boy. We've got this lovely yellow from the Fantasy Games range from Scale 75. It's called Marduk yellow. And the nice thing with these is it's like quite thin straight out of the bat, so we tend not to need to do too much thinning on them. We need a brush though. Let's just get a nice mixing brush. Red is like the go-to for all the vehicles, but I like the idea of yellow one for the rich bitches. Yeah, I think yellow on Orks looks really cool as well. And it looks particularly nice when it's been like distressed. It is also like my ogres for my ogre kingdoms, or ogre war clans, or whatever it is they're called these days, have like yellow chipped weapons. I'll get some out in a sec to show. So it's quite a straightforward one for us to do. So, like all of my ogres are like this. Maps, where's it gone? There it is. Right, where are we at? Mousey. There it is. Yeah. Yeah, we're doing something there. So Blast, thank you. If I ever do Sigma, Augurs, or Beast Boys on my jam, nice. Yeah, Augurs was my first Warhammer Fantasy Battles army as well. Kind of see the recurring theme here on armies that I do. Tend to, a lot of them come from my youth. Right. Right, here we go. So let's start with some of these back panels here. So one of the nice things about this airbrush as well is it has this little thing on the back here, which is like a regulator. So basically acts as like a stop. So as you pull your trigger back, it basically stops it from going back too far, which just helps with like your air control. Thing we need to be like super careful of really is just about monitoring the overspray on the parts that we don't want yellow. And because we've got the chip and medium on as well, we just need to make sure that our paint's quite dry when it comes out of the airbrush, otherwise it'll start to reactivate the chipping medium.
I should be far too smart for this, but your kiss is temporarily unavailable. So I'll just let it burn. Kiss me before you go. Oh, how it aches so good. It's understood that I'll be hanging by a heart has a fantasy of the good girl I long to be, skirting the disaster, legs running faster from every choice. It's a choice when the worst things for you are what you choose to do. Seek me out, I'll take you in. So ready to begin again. Kiss me before you go. Oh, how it aches so good.
The yellow is nice, thanks man.
I'll be
Goes on a dream through the airbrush as well, really.
by a thread. Kiss me before you go. Burst of flame followed by
So the way that I like to do this sort of thing is like, I like to kind of in my head think it's like, you know, they've got some scrap metal from somewhere which they've then painted and then it's become chipped. It wasn't like a yellow one that's rusted out. so it means that if it's not perfect when it goes on, it just kind of adds to the character of it. So we've still got a couple of bits of wet chip and medium left on the like on the thing there, so we'll get by it now. I guess the trick really here now is largely about balance. Don't want to do too much yellow, otherwise it's going to look really gaudy. So just like select bits get painted, so like flat armor panels, that sort of thing. Love the colour meanings of the Ork's class. That's favourite like law faction. Yeah, I would probably agree. I think between that and Tyranids, I think it's probably up there with mine. Guards are pretty cool, yeah, there's some really cool Imperial Guard regiment. 10th first and only. Represent. Yorick and Gazgul's interaction with 2, yeah, that's old school, that, like, the old Armageddon. Had I read that, they killed off, Yorick? Oh, yeah, literally the next message, yeah. Having like Chaos Dooming was a bit of an odd choice, I thought. Personally, like, you know, like Yarick's whole thing was like, you know, he was Gazgul's like, you know, they were like mortal enemies. And then like to get done by Chaos was a weird one. Well, it sets up Gazgul leading a war versus Chaos. That could be pretty fucking cool, mind. Gazgul like Yorick once because he actually enjoys just fighting him. Yeah, like it's just a good gets a good scrap out of him.
When you made it rain, I was like, damn!
Okay,
5,155 cheered. X100.
Thank you very much. And so basically she's like best mate. Now someone else is taking it away from him. Just go mess with him. Yeah. How's your Dead Space adventures going, Carrie? You completed it yet? Excuse me. Say that about the place. It's looking sick. Thanks, dude. It's coming together. They've got. I'll do the like these bits here are going to get done as well. Just trying to think of anywhere else I might want to do in the yellow. Bum, bum, bum. It's good, not as scary as was hyped, but intense, awesome ambience, cool little things added. My ears hurt from wearing the headphones. So is that not just because you're playing it on easy though? Like you just don't have the fear of like the fights and stuff. Really tell you know what you're doing with the balancing 100% go overboard with the yellow. Thanks, man. That's really nice of you to say. Many years of practice. You just can't. Oh, I have the fear you just can't hear you pooping. I mean, I should hope not. I'm in another room, for God's sake. Oh, I hear you pooping. So for this commission, do you have like full artistic freedom, or is there a base scheme? No. So the guy that I do it for is actually really like sound. He was like, doesn't really put requirements on things because he's like. So the funny thing is that like he was in a YouTube video. Switching a YouTube video on a channel called MS Paints. If you ever watch it, it's a great guy who has multiple sclerosis, and it's just him doing like hobby stuff. And he was talking about it on there about like how he tried commission painting, and the thing that he found most frustrating was like being told it needs to be done, you know, X, Y, Z way, because it meant that he had no real control over what was going on. I mean, like I always ask, because, you know, there might be certain things that they want to avoid. And I guess the other thing we've got to really be mindful of with this as well is that, like, you know, I could paint all these armor panels in tartan, but at the end of the day, like, the guy's goal is to sell them on. So there can't be two out there, because otherwise no one's going to buy them, right? So I mean, like, for this, really, the only kind of stipulation that we've kind of got to work within is that I asked him about the colour for the Ork skin. I'm a big fan of like red and orange Ork. But obviously the box art for Warhammer Orks is green. which is fine. So I asked him, I was like, you know, like traditional green skin, you know, like I don't want to do something that's not going to sell for you. And he's like, yeah, but like any shade of green, like as long as it's a green skin, it's fine. So I've got full artistic licensing, say just to go like super nuclear bright green or like a really muted like drab and the green. I'm kind of going to go somewhere in the middle with like red shading and stuff like that. Yeah, very much the amount of the art is better than you. Try to give a vague direction and then let them get on with it. Yeah, I mean, like that's cool. And I guess it just depends on what sort of stuff people want doing, you know, like at the end of the day, like kind of taking someone's money off them. You know, like if they said they wanted it like pink or blue stripes, then that's kind of what you do. So seen a lot of people do multiple greens for the same army. It's sort of different. Yeah, like I'm a big fan of that. And that kind of, like for me, that kind of harkens back to like old school Warhammer Fantasy orcs, where the bigger the orc, the darker the skin got, like as they got bigger. My tattoos were all done like that, so as well. Oh, that's fair. You got many tattoos. Somewhat tattooed. Been a little while since I had anything done. Generally speaking, we're a big fan of tattoos here. Mrs. Bumblepants has got tattoos, Kerry's got tattoos, Nesgratis has got tattoos. Frazzle, who was in the other day, he's got some really big, really nice tattoos. Right, I think that's going to pretty much do it for the yellow. I'm just kind of like want to fill up a bit of opacity here. Like I was saying earlier on, doesn't have to necessarily be perfect because we're going to chip the living shit out of it ever so slightly in a second. Can't remember if I put chipping medium on the wrecking ball, so we're just going to leave that one. Back of your neck, left arm sleeve, right arm sleeve, both rib cages, a calf sleeve, and some other on my calf. Not finished the sleeve yet. So it's a canny collection of tattoos you've got there. I've got a half sleeve on my right arm, bit on my left arm. I've got like script work on both my forearms. I've got a calf sleeve on my right calf, and a couple of big pieces on my left calf. It's like left sort of calves and shins and stuff like that. So right, so we're going to clean this airbrush out. We're going to let that yellow sit, and then we're going to start chipping away. Some airbrush cleaner. Can I do my hand next and finish my calf? Kind of want the side of my head done, but I'm not too sure on that. Yeah, like in an ideal world, I think I would like my hands done. Head's a bit too far for me personally. I'm always just a bit like, I always a bit worried about like the job stopper tattoos. Like, I know it's not really so much of a thing anymore now, like being turned down for work because of tattoos and stuff. But, you know, there's obviously, you know, there's still plenty of people out there who view tattoos pretty negatively. I mean, I guess for the kind of like day job work that I do, which is software testing, like I'm just sat behind a desk. I don't really have any customer interaction, so you know, as long as I've not got like something fucking disgusting tattooed on, it shouldn't really make much difference. But Bumper gets hers finished on the 4th. Yeah, boy. But yeah, Mass Effect will get finished, yeah. Ah, yeah, shut up. I'm gonna go shove a pizza in. Tuscan's putting his order in, pepperoni. Ham and pineapple for me, please, not less. The absolute god tier of pizza. Don't care what anyone says. Grounds for divorce, that. I don't think it is, because we've been together long enough for you to know that I like ham and pineapple pizza, so you knew what you were getting into. It wasn't part of the vows, but it was on the wedding contract you signed. Just didn't declare it. Right, we should be at a point now where we can start chipping these brushes. So I use these things called scratch brushes, which I got from Green Stuff World. You don't have to use them. You can use like paint brushes, toothpicks, sponges, everything. But basically, they're like a set of like extendable brushes that start off with like a really soft nylon and end in like wire wool. I've not found a use for anything past the soft brushes yet. Except for cleaning stuff. Doing like chipping's a little bit of a risky business, which is a good job because I'm risky bits. But basically, like, it's super random what happens. The way that I like to do it is I just work a panel at a time. I just get it a little bit moist. Just to kind of start the process. And again, this is just it's a balance thing. You don't want to do too much. Obviously, you don't want to do too little. So we start here. So the good places to kind of start really are like the edges where, you know, paint would chip off kind of naturally. So I just run the brush kind of along the edge. You can kind of see there already how it's starting to come off. Going a couple of different directions. Hit the tops of the things like the rivets, because again, that's kind of, you know, areas where paint would kind of get knocked off. And what we want to try and avoid is like big chunks coming off. Let's just do a little zoom in a bit here. There we go. So it's just steady away. And the thing we want to try and avoid is, which we shouldn't have an issue with because obviously we varnished it, is taking it back down to like plastic or the primer. And the primer's not so bad because it's black. We kind of really want to sell this like chipped, like painted on like metal. That's kind of really about how much we want to go with that. We can take more. You know, you want to do some plates like really heavily distressed. You might want to do some a little bit lighter. So yeah, we've got like some big flakes kind of coming off here now. In some areas that don't really make sense for it to have come off. And that's what we need to be careful of. I mean, for what we're doing here, it's kind of okay because we're going to put a wash on as well to kind of really sell a lot of this. What we might find here is that actually our metal might be a little bit too bright in a lot of these places. So the metal effect doesn't kind of come through like what we were expecting. But that's okay because we can do washes, we can do more weathering. We can come in with like stiff brushes as well, soft brushes. In these bits where we've oversprayed, because the chipping medium's there, we can just go really aggressive and just get it all taken off. So in hindsight, we might have wanted to go a little bit darker on the metallic, just to help sell the contrast a bit. But it's no biggie really. We're at the point of the model now, which I quite often refer to as the shit part, where you think you've fucked it up and it's all gone wrong. You just got to stick with it, see it out. So you see here, like on this corner, just taking a big chunk off where we probably didn't want a big chunk to come off. We've got very little control over that. So it's just largely going to be about kind of slowing down a bit. There we go, what do we think? Get the there we go, a bit better. So these bits in the back here, which are like the foot plates, we want to take the vast majority of it off. Because, you know, it's going to have been stood on and stuff to shit. So chipping medium just chips flicks a pin. Yeah. So it's just a water soluble thing. So you put it on, let it dry, airbrush over the top of it, let it dry, and then when you put the water on, it goes through the paint there. Doesn't reactivate the paint, but reactivates the chipping medium, which then dissolves the paint from underneath, or like the adhesion for the paint, I guess. So you work it out with like a brush or like a knife, a toothpick, whatever you want really, and it just takes it away and reveals whatever it is you had underneath the chipping medium. So for us, it was all of this like kind of like heavily corroded metal. The only really downside with working with a product like chipping medium is that it's like the effect is pretty random. So, you know, you might want to do, you might be working a bit and go, oh, that's kind of okay, like quite nicely chipped. I might want to do a little bit more, and then before you know it, like a big flick of paint will come off. So you do have to kind of work quite methodically with it. But you can get some great results. Like I would argue it's somewhat easier to do it this way than it is with like sponge chipping. But you know, sponge chipping also has its benefits too. You can use hairspray. It's another thing that you can you didn't want to buy like a specific product for it, hairspray works the same way. As long as it's like a washing, like a washout hairspray. The water soluble bit, that's the important bit. Obviously, the nice thing with it being random is that it looks random as well. Like, it looks more natural. Like, trying to get, like, you know, like that exact pattern with a paintbrush would take sort of time and, I guess, knowledge about where you'd want your chips to be. Whereas with this, I sort of just attack a sort of generic area that I kind of want, that I know that I kind of want chipped. And then just kind of work it from there. And I just go in with like a paper towel to like try and absorb some of the water back off. Because sometimes you can end up like staining, and you almost get like a, whatever color it is you've got on, almost like a wash or a film kind of develops over it, like over here what was underneath. Which, you know, could be like could be a really cool desired effect as well. Just not what I'm looking for here. And then all these bits like here, where there's just a little bits of overspray, because there's chipping medium here, I can just come in with a brush and just about kind of remove it all if I want to. And because I sealed everything underneath it as well with varnish, it means if you have any water activatable products underneath, like the rust, for example, is like, you know, it's water soluble, activates in water. It just means that that doesn't get reactivated as part of your like removal step. The biggest challenge really, to be honest, is it's keeping the brushes clean and the water clean, so you're not smearing around bits of dirty paint. So this brush that I'm using here, I just kind of like dampening off. It's a bit kind of off screen, I guess. So I've just got like a little tray palette of water, and I just kind of moisten it. And the longer the water stays on the area as well, the more it kind of works in. You want some of this pizza? Also, yeah, I'll have some of the pizza if you don't have it. Getting pretty peckish now, so. Sorry. The wife delivering some pizza. I'm going to take a quick 5-10 minutes and have some pizza. So the next step after this is we'll reseal it again with some gloss varnish this time. Probably just some matte varnish. We'll reseal it, and then we go in with some flesh wash, and that'll just give it some like tonality to the yellow. Help stain some of the metal out a little bit as well. Should be cool. Who made a decision on the kill team yet, Tuscan? I have not. No. That's fair. However, I'm gonna wait at least until your admix finished. Yeah, that's a good shout. You don't want to have too many projects on the pile. Yeah, I think that's one of the hardest things to do in these hobbies. Like, you just want everything all the time, like really upfront. And you can just become bogged down by just having a sea of unbuilt and unpainted stuff. A big part of my return to streaming was to try and motivate myself to paint and clear like loads of the stuff that I had. Makes it feel like a chore though, right? When you've got like, and you feel obligated to have to do something. Today, dog painting, sort of realised to myself that Gideon's our slow burner said actively stop pushing for that to be done. Yeah. Sometimes you just go around and enjoy the project as well. Like, if you're not enjoying it, what's the point? But like 1,200 points of Cajuns is still like 4,000 dudes, right? Like they're pretty like cheap infantry army, aren't they? Yeah. Nice bit of pizza. To our chipperoos. Where were we? Out here. What are we doing? Oh yes, doing these like boarding spikes, weren't we? Plenty of chipped paint on these boarding spikes because they wouldn't stay particularly fresh for very long. To my army. 3 Scout Sentinels, Commissar, 2 10-man killing shock groups, killing command squad, 3 more heavy weapon teams, 2 artillery teams, a Lehman Rust tank commander, Death Strike missile, some Bulgarins, Nordberg, Vindicator assassin. That's a canny little army you've got going on there, man. The Ogren models are such nice models as well. A couple of my buddies are on about maybe doing some of that new boarding action stuff, and I really want to do some Imperial Guard with Ogrins as like a boarding party. The ones with the like the big shields and stuff. Found some off-brand Ogrins, well, Ogrins, yeah. War Games exclusive. Have a little look at these. About the same price with different buttons and poses. That's always a bonus. Oh yeah, they're really nice. Big fan of them. I got some really nice 3D printed ogres. I like Chaos Ogres. For Christmas off a friend. It just reminded us of them. These big boys. Ooh. Same sort of idea. Pretty sweet. Oh yeah. Yeah, we're running out of them. But at some point I'll get around to painting them. I'm not doing other people's stuff. Excuse me. Get some chippy chips done. Chippy chips. Oh, there's still so much left to chip. There's so much of it. Just when you think you're getting towards the edge. Right, what we've got left to do. It's kind of okay there. Back plate to do, and then these bits. Okay. I don't know if running 2 Bulgaren is troll or not though. But having, but could open up having 2 squads of 3. The ones I've built have 3 mauls and 2 at the big gun thing. Yeah, I don't really know. Like I'm like almost a decade out of 40k to be honest. And the new like force organization charts and command points and like army rules, codex rules, data sheets, expansion books, it's all just a bit much for me. So I've not really felt overly inclined to get kind of back into it. So I couldn't even tell you what's like what's trolley or what's cheesy. Just builds everything's cool. Yeah, I do it. I think the only stuff that I've got that I've built that's even remotely competitive's not even the right word because I don't play competitive game. Like I don't play competitively. But the only time I've built and purposely kind of gone on my way to build something efficiently, I guess is the word, is my bolt action stuff, my Germans I did. Because the way that they're like kind of army list writing works is like you're better off having like a collection of stuff to make an army list from rather than like writing an army list and kind of going with it. Because you might want to swap around like what equipment's in what squads in terms of like weapons and stuff. So when I was building my Weapon SS, they've got access to like assault rifles and like big numbers in their squads where other forces don't tend to have that. But you still need to have, you know, like a mixed squad of different capabilities, otherwise you kind of like goober them into one combat role, which sometimes isn't ideal. But that's about the only time I've ever done it really. Really cool is the where it is where it's at, you're right. Right, that's all of the yellow like kind of chip now. I'm just gonna go through and like try and remove a lot of this overspray now. Places where it doesn't need to be. Some of this isn't too bad because it's gonna get covered up anyway. Right, so the next bit is need flesh aid. Why is that stuck together? Oh. Okay.
Don't talk, listen. There's something
Right, so we're going to get some Reikland flesh shade in here now. Hopefully this shouldn't
holding me
deactivate the chipping medium.
hands, just so you can
So what that'll do is it'll just knock the red down ever the yellow the red. It'll knock the yellow down ever so slightly. And just give it like a nice kind of tone to it. Well, what I'm aiming to do really is get some of the pigment started at the top and then just try and pull it down towards the bottom. It should hopefully add like a nice little bit of tone to it. That kind of gives it a bit more of a slightly different tone. See if we can get that to zoom in. Compared to the... That's it with the flesh wash on. And that's it without. So you can see the effect's quite subtle. But it keeps it... keeps it kind of nice. And what we're aiming to try and do is to stop it from like pooling on surfaces. Do the back here. I'm just gonna pull it down. I think what we're gonna do anyway for the for like this back plate as well, we're gonna put some like mud splatter on as well, just to sort of like represent the like muddy boots. Head to bed now. We might have with drops. Yeah, give me 2 seconds. Right, go back. So I'll go help the missus put some drops in her lug. She's got a gammy lug, so she has. So everywhere there was this yellow, we're just putting this flesh wash on, and as I say, it's just going to help create a little bit of modularity with the yellow. Knocks it down a shade, and also kind of like sells a little bit of that like rusty metal effect. You can kind of see on here where it's dried. A gammy lug at the medical. Yep. Top shelf medical professional, me. And probably what we're going to do is we'll do this wash and we'll probably wrap it for the night because it's 10:30. And I want to let this wash dry and kind of see how it's all panned out before we start tackling the next steps, which might be to do a little bit more of the rust work, like rework the rust. I think from the looks of it, in like a lot of places actually, it looks like it's pulled the rust off when I chipped it. So maybe my varnish layer wasn't thick enough. But that's okay, we can just go back through and reapply the rust. No spoil on that. Might have just been a little bit too hasty with doing some bits. Okay. I think that told me yellow bits done now. Can't believe we finished it in one night. Oh, we're not finished yet. There's still much more to go. How long have we been on for? 3.5 hours. I've probably got another 3.5, I reckon, to go. 3.5 to go. Got the Ork to paint. We've got the passenger Ork to paint. I've got to do like all the tires, all the wraps on the band, like on the overheads, and then it'll just be a case of going back out and like sort of re-picking out bits that need like re-highlighted. But I mean, we've made a fucking hell of a dent in this tonight. Got further than I was expecting in the 3 hours. Like the yellow's coming out nice and vibrant. I think I might have been a bit too hasty with my my steps with the chipping medium. I think I maybe should have let it dry a bit longer. And I've definitely taken off some of the rust because there was a lovely big rust patch on the front here, which is just gone. But it's fine. We'll just come back through. We'll just re-establish it. You know, I'll come back through on the back here, do some little bits of dry brushing just to bring the shine back to the metals. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. First time painting the Ork Trukk. It's got a Borderlands kind of vibe to it, which kind of fits in with all of my channel art, if you may have noticed. Big fan of the Borderlands series. So yeah, we're gonna swap over to that screen. Thanks very much for everyone who's popped in, said hello, and hung out with us on this lovely Friday night. Thank you very much to Kerry for the bits, Tuscan for being here right from the start. Always lush to have you in. Good bit chats. Probably won't stream over the weekend since we streamed tonight. So we will be back Monday night, 7:30. If anybody here who isn't chatting hasn't followed, drop us a follow so you just get notified when I go live. !Discord for the Discord server, where you can share work that you're doing, ask advice, have a bit of general crack. But otherwise, until next time, have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you all soon. Bye!